The OMP60 spindle probe is multifunctional. All settings are configured using the trigger logic technique. This allows you to review the probe settings by observing the multicolor LED display. For ease of use, the OMP60 has 3 LEDs spaced evenly around the body of the probe. Each one does exactly the same thing. When observing trigger logic, you need only refer to one of them. The trigger logic also allows you to change the settings by deflecting the stylus and observing the changes in the multicolor LED display. In operation, the multicolor LED shows the state of the probe, whether triggered or seated. The LED also shows the state of the batteries. If the batteries are dead, the LED will stay either constant red or flash red to indicate that the batteries must be changed. Instructions on how to replace batteries are included in this guide. All LED combinations are listed in the user guide. The OMP60 can be in one of 3 modes: standby mode, waiting for a switch-on signal; operating mode, the probe is ready to be used; and configuration mode, meaning that the probe is ready to be configured using the trigger logic method. A detailed graphical explanation of the function of the trigger logic can be found in the spindle probe user guide. To review the current probe settings, remove the battery cassette for 5 seconds. Then reinsert it. When reviewing settings, do not deflect the stylus. The probe now goes through a startup sequence: an LED check, the switch-on setting, and the switch-off setting. Enhanced trigger filtering, optical transmission type, legacy or modulated mode, low or standard optical power, and battery status review. The probe will return to its standby mode after 5 seconds. To enter the OMP60 trigger logic settings menu, remove the battery cassette for 5 seconds, deflect the stylus, and, keeping the stylus deflected, replace the battery cassette. Once the review sequence is complete, 5 red flashes will occur. You now have the option to change each mode by deflecting the stylus for about 1 second. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. The OMP60 has multiple switch-on methods. To change the switch-on method, deflect the stylus for 1 second. The switch-on methods are violet, violet, red, optical on, using an M-code start signal from the machine interface; violet, violet, green, shank on, when using a shank with an integrated switch supplied by Renishaw; and violet, violet, blue, spin on at the speed quoted in the user guide for between 1 and 6 seconds. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. The OMP60 has multiple switch-off methods. To change the switch-off method, deflect the stylus for 1 second. The switch-off methods are red, 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 optical or spin off, in which the OMP60 will accept an optical M-code signal or a spin-off command at the speed stated in the user guide for between 1 and 6 seconds. Red, red, green. Short timeout, for a 12-second timeout. Red, red, blue. Medium timeout, for a 33-second timeout. And red, red, yellow. Long timeout, for a 134-second timeout. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. If the probe is subject to high levels of vibration or shock loads, it may output signals without coming into contact with any surface. The enhanced trigger filter improves the probe's resistance to these effects by adding a trigger output delay to the trigger signal. The LED indicates the state of the enhanced trigger filter. To change the trigger filter, deflect the stylus for 1 second. Green, green, red. Trigger filter off, in which no trigger filter is used. Green, green, green. Trigger filter on, which adds a 10 millisecond delay to the output signal. Green, green, blue. Trigger filter on, which adds a 20 millisecond delay to the output signal. Green, green, yellow. Trigger filter on, which adds a 40 millisecond delay to the output signal. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. The OMP60 has selectable transmission methods. To change the transmission method, deflect the stylus for 1 second. Violet, violet, red. Legacy transmission, start filter off, for use with OMI and OMM with MI12 interfaces. Violet, violet, green. Legacy transmission, start filter on. The start filter on option improves the probe's resistance to light interference on startup, for use with OMI and OMM with MI12 interfaces. Violet, violet, violet. Modulated transmission, which provides substantially increased resistance to light interference and is for use with the OMI2 and its variant interfaces. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. Where distance between the OMP60 and the interface is small, the low optical power option may be used. Optical transmission range will be reduced as shown in the user guide, but battery life will be extended. To change the optical transmission range, deflect the stylus for 1 second. Yellow, yellow, red. Low optical power. And yellow, yellow, green. Standard optical power, which is the factory setting. To exit configuration mode, the OMP60 should be left undeflected for at least 20 seconds. This puts the probe back into standby mode. It's recommended that settings are reviewed after programming. The system is now ready for stylus on-center adjustment.